The government's coming after my money. What do you mean I have to pay tax on it again? Why aren't any of the lawyers agreeing on this? Am I going to have to move to another country now? What's going to happen if I don't file for taxes? Are they going to kick me out of the country? That's it, I'm moving to Vietnam. Wait, stop. Take a deep breath. Everything is going to be okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Pete on Retreat. Today, I'm going to talk about the big bad boogeyman. I mean, the new Thai tax laws. For months now, this has been the most consistently asked about topic in the comment section of my videos. I've watched hours of interviews with Thai tax accountants. I've read dozens of conversations on social media. Everybody's freaking out about this, and understandably so. Forgive me, I'm being stupid trying to film on this little walkway. Like many of the other legal changes that have come to Thailand, yeah, I'm looking at you, Thai cannabis legalization. This change has seemed to leave more questions than answers. With less than 3 months until we all need to file our taxes, what is everybody doing out there? I'm definitely no expert on the subject, and I don't claim to be. There's lots of differing opinions out there, and what I'm going to do today is contrast some of those differing opinions, talk about what we know and what we don't know. I'm also going to talk about how this personally impacts me, my thoughts about it, and I'm going to share some good news that maybe you're not aware of yet. One of the biggest challenges with all of this, my turn to speak. One of the biggest challenges with all of this is that the so-called experts don't agree. Like I said, I've watched tons of interviews with Thai tax accountants. You could watch one interview and he'll see ABC is so, and then you'll watch another one and he'll say, nope, that's not right. Most of these guys are running a business and they have some service to sell you, like obtaining your tax ID number or even filing your taxes for you. It makes it fairly hard to know who to trust and what to believe. For now, I'm just going with the general consensus of what I see most of them agree on, but I'm also leaving some room to be open to those that disagree, and especially taking time to listen to why they disagree. Before we get into all of this, I do want to talk about something very important, and that's don't fall for all of the new scams that are going around now. I'm not talking about using an agent or an accountant as being a scam. There's a lot of new text message and phone call scams happening now, and they're just trying to get your bank information. They're posing as somebody from either the Thai government or somebody compiling a list of people that are exempt from paying taxes here. I know this doesn't have to be said to most people, but just in case, if somebody calls you on the phone, never give them your information. They are not who they say they are. They are just out to scam you and take your money. Okay, so now let's get into some of the basics. If you reside in Thailand for 180 days or more in 1 calendar year, you are a Thai tax resident. It doesn't matter if they're consecutive days or not, and this is just very clear. You are a Thai tax resident. That doesn't seem to necessarily mean that you are going to have to file or pay taxes though. More on that later. Most of the experts, accountants, lawyers, whoever that I've watched interviews with do seem to agree that if you are in Thailand for more than 180 days in a year, then you do have to get a tax ID number. But I have seen at least 2 experts say that isn't the case. So who do you choose to believe? If you are earning money abroad but not remitting it, not bringing it into the Thailand, then you do not have to pay any tax on it here in the country. The law only applies to money remitted into the country. Double taxation treaties differ from country to country, and it's important that you understand how your country's agreement with Thailand works. For example, United States Social Security is exempt from all double taxation in Thailand. The US treaty is very clear on this. When filing for taxes here, you will get a tax credit for any money you brought in that you already paid taxes on, equal to whatever percentage those taxes you paid are. At least for most countries, and I feel like probably for all of them. The law went into effect January 1st of 2024. The deadline to file for any money you remitted during the calendar year of 2024 is March 31st, 2025 for the hard copy, or I don't know, a week after if you're filing online. Don't even ask me about filing online. I have no clue about that now. Here's some things that we don't know yet. The biggest thing that we don't know is we don't know how it's going to be regulated. Currently, it is completely separate from the immigration and visa process, although that could change. I've watched multiple accountants say they haven't been given any instruction from the Revenue Department on how to deal with the double taxation agreements between countries. They all seem to kind of understand how it's going to go, but they're not sure if they're going to have to file proof that a taxation agreement exists in the first place, or exactly how the whole process is going to happen. I think it's weird that they're saying this because honestly, this whole change is just closing a loophole, and it's really not about trying to get expats and retirees to pay up taxes here. We just might fall under this umbrella, but it's more about closing a general tax loophole. At least that's my understanding. Again, I am not an expert on any of this. We don't seem to know that if money withdrawn from an ATM or anything bought or paid for with a credit card is going to be subject to the taxation. I watched a lawyer clearly state that no, that does not count as remittance under Thai tax law, and then the next lawyer says, yep, it does. You have to pay tax on it. After all of this rolled out, the Thai government made an announcement that said it's not their intention to tax anyone's pensions. The UK, however, in their double taxation agreement with Thailand says that pensions from the UK can be taxed. So is Thailand going to go after these or not? We just don't know. It doesn't seem like it, but it's there in the law, so I guess they could if they want to. We don't know what the penalties are going to be. The penalties are very likely to include fines, and fines in the pre-existing setup tend to be 1.5%, but we're not exactly sure. It's also likely that if you really abuse the law, if you owed a ton of taxes or don't file for many years, that it might lead up to being banned or barred from the country and maybe imprisonment. I believe imprisonment is already on the table for tax fraud here in Thailand. So once again, this is Thailand. I'm sure you'll be able to pay some money and get on, even if you've been pretty negligent about it all, but we just don't know what the penalties are going to be. We don't even know who's going to have to file and who doesn't. Yeah, we know you're a tax resident if you've been in the country for 180 days, but I've seen at least one accountant say that if the money you brought in isn't subject to the tax, then you don't even have to file. If you don't have to file, does that mean you don't even need a tax ID number? Now you understand the questions that we're still asking over here. So how does this really impact expats living here in Thailand? It looks like that many of us are going to have to file taxes. And when we file, we're going to have to show that we've paid taxes on the money that we remitted for whatever calendar year we are currently filing for. There's only 2.5 months left until the deadline to file, and we still don't know exactly how that's going to work, but that seems to be the case. I think many people are just not going to file and wait and see how everything goes, and that's definitely not the advice I'm giving you. The way I see it is there are two worst case scenarios. Number one is that you are going to have to show that you filed for taxes when it comes time to renew your visa. The second worst case scenario I see happening is that you are in a higher tax bracket in Thailand than you are in your home country or wherever you pay taxes. That means you're going to have to pay even more taxes. Okay, so what's the good news? All of this was announced last September with the release of Order 161. That order established all of the dates and stated that any money brought into Thailand before December 31st of 2023 wouldn't be subject to these new taxation laws. It gave some people time to move in a bunch of money without having to pay tax on it because of the law change coming up. Great. That helps out a few people, but that doesn't help out a lot of people. And that's not the good news I'm talking about. Order 161 also stated that all money remitted to Thailand after December 31st, 2023 would be subject to tax remittance no matter when it was originally earned. That means you could have had savings in the bank for 15 years, and if you brought it in after January 1st, 2024, and you were in Thailand for 180 days and therefore a Thai tax resident, you would have to pay tax on it, or you would have to file and prove that you paid tax on it 10, 15, 20 years ago. It didn't matter when it was earned. Now, here's the part that many people aren't talking about. Maybe it's because it doesn't pertain to them, or maybe it's just because they aren't aware. But in November, Thailand released Order 162. What Order 162 says is that any money earned before December 31st, 2023 isn't subject to tax in Thailand no matter what year it is brought into the country. Sure, this law might change, but it definitely opened up a lot more possibilities for many people living out here now. And that brings this video to how the new law is affecting me. So how is all this affecting me? All of the money I remitted in 2024 was earned before December 31st, 2023. I'm not going to have to pay any tax on that. And what's funny is all the money that I'm planning on bringing in for at least the next 9 years is going to be money that I earned before December 31st, 2023. At least the way it stands now, because of Order 162, I'm definitely not going to have to pay any tax on any money for the next 9 years in Thailand, unless of course the law changes. I'm not even getting a tax ID number. I mean, at least for now. There's going to be a couple months after the due date to file taxes and the time for me to renew my retirement visa, and I just want to wait and see how everything goes. This is not advice I am giving you. This is just what I'm personally doing, and that's just for now. Things might even change in a few weeks as more information comes to light. According to some experts, but not most, I won't even be required to file taxes and maybe not even get a tax ID number. I don't want to do anything to risk my good standing here in Thailand. As viewers of my channel know, I only thought I'd be here a few years, but I seem to be planting roots. And now I'm not expecting to move into another country anytime soon. I have decided to wait and see how things go over the next 3 months, 5 months, and even over the next year. It seems to me that my worst case scenario is that I'm going to have to file taxes late, and then I'm going to have to pay a penalty. It might be 1.5%, but because of Order 162, let me tell you, I'll pay 50% on $0 since none of my money is taxable.